Well, hello there, and welcome to the Rock Podcast. Those about the pod, we salute you. In this episode, Brian and I will be talking to the rhythm section of one of our favourite bands, The Karma Effect. It's Liam and Ash.
Hey!
How you doing, guys?
How you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Well, you're very welcome. And welcome to, our humble podcast. It's nice to see you. You guys have had an amazing summer. I think you've gone from being a band that a few people have heard of to a festival regular, and I hope you've gained a lot of fans. How has it been for you the last few weeks, last few months?
It's been awesome, man. Like, it's been great. It's been a bit of a wild ride, to be honest. We kind of said we've got this little thing that we say quite a lot. You know, when we started this band, we were looking at festival lineups of bands that we liked, Revival Black, Scarlet Rebels, all that, and seeing the festivals that they were doing, and we were like, in 5 years we can be on those: Stone Dead, Call of the Wild, Steelhouse, Love Rocks, all that. If we can just tick a few of those off in the next 5 years, that would be great. 18 months later, we've done them all in one summer, which is pretty cool. So it's been great in that respect.
It's definitely a crazy couple of months we've had, especially when you compare to some of the festivals we did last year. Like, we did Love Rocks for the first time, wasn't it, Ash? And last year, and then that was great. We got a load of new fans from that, and then you compare that to when we turned up this year. We were getting everyone out of the tents this year, and the whole field was flooded of people wearing the Karma shirts, everything. It was just it really has been incredible.
What do you put that down to? Because for a lot of people, in a way, it's a meteoric rise. You did an album back in 2021. You formed in 2020. And all of a sudden, here you are, festival regulars, loads of fans. What do you put it down to, guys?
I think for us, it's from day one, we've always said we're not trying to reinvent the wheel with our music. But what we are trying to do is have a good time. We have a great time together. We're five best friends creating music that we love, playing music that we love in front of people, whether there's 5 people or 5,000 people. And I think that's really translated and kind of resonated with people as well in the last couple of years. The sort of good time rock and roll sort of thing that we go with. We're not a political band. We're not that. We just like to turn up and play great rock and roll music and have a good time while we do it. And yeah, I think that's really resonated with people.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, how did you find heading up the mountain in your van? How did your clutch hold out in your brakes?
Go on, Liam. You were driving, mate.
We just about got there, but I mean, we were lucky that we could just bomb it up the right-hand side past everyone. So I was like, right, see you later, everyone. I was just trying to floor this van up there because I thought if I stop, that's game over. We ain't getting up this hill. But we made it. It was all right. I think we got out of there just before the weather turned too poorly, and everyone else got stuck in the field as well. So it was good fun. I mean, we were warned about how probably getting altitude sickness getting up there, but it was I didn't quite realise how steep this hill was going to be. But what a sight when you get up there as well. It's amazing. I mean, it's definitely a unique spot to put a festival and a few thousand people. Definitely.
Well, you definitely lucked out on the weather on the Saturday, because it was you were on early enough in the afternoon, but it was, compared to the Sunday.
It's dramatic.
Honestly, that we were the spectators. We were all standing in the tents.
That's right.
Watching the bands from afar.
Troy Redfern came on at lunchtime, and it was sheeting down, and most of the people were in that under that canopy 40 feet away, 40 yards away, I should say, and a few diehards on the barrier. You started to get a few diehards on the barrier, I noticed. I know a few of them, and you probably do too. So moving on from festivals, where did it all start? Ash, you mentioned you've known Henry and Liam from school. How did you get together with the rest of the guys, and how did you get going, basically?
So it's a great question. I've known Henry and Liam since we were about 12, 13. When we were in secondary school, and we all kind of lived around the same area, and Liam and Henry were in a kind of different band. I was doing my own thing with some other musicians, and then it just kind of merged together really throughout secondary school. We just kind of started jamming together, and the three of us all three of us were in a band at one point with other members and everything like that. But the core has always been me, Henry, and Liam. And then me and Henry and I went off to university down in Brighton to study music, and that's where we met Robbie in sort of 2013, 2014. Again, he was kind of doing his own thing with other people down there. And yeah, we just always stayed in touch, through Facebook, social media, all that sort of stuff, kept up with what he was doing. And then when it came to putting a band together, we had these ideas of, we like the sort of bluesy rock, Black Crowes, Aerosmith sort of thing. Who's a good guitar player for that? And Henry went, I know the guy. It's Robbie Blake. He is the guy. He is the guy to be the guitarist in the Karma Effect, both in terms of how he looks, how he plays, and how much he drinks as well.
He's had his hair cut, hasn't he? What's going on with his hair these days?
Yeah, so that was a weird one. That
funny because he grew his hair out, being like, "Oh, I'm gonna grow my hair out so much," and then literally the day of the first album release, he's cut all his hair off. So we've got, his face plastered everywhere. It's over the album. It's on T-shirts. People are walking around, and no one recognises him. I remember he walked past our merch store, and the girls were like, "Oh, do you want to buy a T-shirt?" He's like, "That's me on the T-shirt."
I think he cut it off because we all said he started to look a bit like Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead, and he's got that sort of thing where some people, when they grow their hair, it kind of grows straight down. His kind of just grew outwards a little bit. So
like you've got hair, Brian. Come on.
Sorry, back in the day when I had hair.
Yeah, Seb's gone the other way, hasn't he? He's grown his hair ridiculously.
Yeah. Seb is Seb's got when we met him about 6-7 years ago, he was this kind of private school boy with the private school haircut and all that sort of stuff, and playing the piano, sat down, and we went, no, if you want to be in this band, grow your hair, get some better clothes, and he's great. We know Seb from our sort of local music scene in Surrey, and
from a load of open mic nights is when we kind of got to know Seb, and he would get up, play a couple of tunes with some people, some bluesy tunes and things, and we thought, man, he's insane on the keys. So he's definitely a pick, wasn't he?
Big time.
It gives you a really, really nice dimension. You think about, we've talked about the Black Crowes, and if you look at the Black Crowes, off the first album, as Ed Hirsch, the keyboard player, it doesn't really become prominent until the second album, but when you went to see the Black Crowes live, when I was lucky to see them early doors, it's such a wall of sound. It's such a nice, warm, and it just gives all the musicians bizarrely a lot more space to move because you've got this nice keyboard and the funk as well too, in the groove of your band as well. I know that's nice as well too. That's when Matt and I were talking about in previous episodes of the show. It's that early Aerosmith groove that's there in it. It's not straight out AC/DC rock and roll. It's got that nice groove to it, which you as a rhythm section you must love.
Yeah, it's
great. I mean, we get some great verses together. Like you say, it just creates a space. Ash is laying down a beat. Me and Ash, we're locked in from the get-go. I think that's the strongest point we've had, and we've grown that over the years. And when you got Seb doing the funky clav over the top of it, you just you're like, this sounds quality.
I think that's just a combination of our influences as well. I'm massively influenced from those sort of, you talk to any drummer, they're influenced by John Bonham, and it's that sort of heavy hitting funk style or like sort of rock style, but then you've got people later like Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers and people like that, and you kind of blend all those influences together. Seb loves people like Stevie Wonder, and that's where the clav things come from. And Liam, yourself, you can obviously tell your own influences, but it all comes together in this nice sweet pie. I don't know. I didn't think of the word, but
sweet funky pie.
Yeah.
And when you got together, because as you've said earlier, and when you got together as a band, lots of bands can go, a number of ways. Let's get to know our sound by playing pubs and lots of covers, and then other bands will go, actually, we're going to get into a rehearsal room, COVID permitting, and then become a sound, and that's our sound, and we'll hone it. Which way worked for you guys?
It's kind of the latter. We kind of got together once Hen was saying, I've got this idea. I want to start playing music again. So at this point, the other bands we were in, they were all, they were fizzling out and whatever. So we haven't played music in a while. And Hen was like, I've got a really good idea. I want to start doing this bluesy thing. I think he was mainly talking to you, Ash, wasn't he, at the beginning? And it was when you sort of approached the rest of us and said, look, we think you're the guys to be in this sort of project with. And we kind of just got in a room. Hen had some ideas. We had like the initial couple of songs I think Hen had written, like Testify, things like that. They were pretty solid ideas at the time. And then COVID hit, and we were a bit stuck. But when it was that weird rule of you can have 6 people outside or whatever it was, I remember it was like, right, we have to get together. We have to play some music. So we were like, well, where can we go? There's nowhere we can rehearse where we can, legally get away with this. And it was a matter of him was like, right, my parents have got loads of land out the back. I'm going to set up a gazebo. We're just going to go out into the fields. We're going to run loads of extension cables for us lot, and we're just gonna play, and we're just going to see how it goes. So there was the 5 of us just sort of, but just trying ideas out in a field basically, and playing these songs, playing these little ideas, these little riffs, these little licks, and and we started trying to like put it together, and it was a matter of trying to get that blend of. Going back to keys, if the keys weren't there, we'd be probably a bit like GNR. Some of the riffs that we do, especially in songs to come, they're a little bit heavier. But with the keys, it gets a bit more funky and it gets a bit more soulful, and that's where the groove really comes from. And that we got from playing in a field under a gazebo.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was certainly an unorthodox way to sort of get a band together, and something that we had never experienced before. But I'll be honest with you, I really do think it's made us so tight as a group in terms of how close. I mean, we were close anyway as mates, but we've got that shared experience, and it's great stories to tell. We're like, how did you guys get together? Did you meet playing pubs? No, we played in a garden in Henry's parents' back garden, and. It's just a great thing. And then when we finally could get in a rehearsal room, that's when the songs really started to come to life. Sort of from October of 2020 onwards, that's where we really sort of started to find our feet.
And it's such a positive spin on lockdown and COVID, because there's a lot, when you think of a lot of established bands who are in that album tour cycle, and whenever they hit, we've Matt and I've talked about it. It's whenever the brakes were put on, and people had products that they needed to promote to make money on. There's actually quite a lot of bands that were scrabbling around to go, right, well, how do we do crowdfunding, or how do we do paid gigs where people will be in a rehearsal room with nobody there trying to make money, and some good bands actually went to the wall during COVID, because they just couldn't keep the machine going. And actually what's nice about your story is through COVID, and actually that will to keep something going and then go out and take your music out to audiences. It's bucking the trend a little bit around what's happened with bands and the impact of COVID in the music industry.
I think we were in a bit of a unique position because we were so brand new. We didn't even have music out really. I think did we have the 3 tunes out?
No, we didn't have any music out before lockdown. I mean, to be honest, it was only really an idea before lockdown. It was Henry wanted to do a solo project, sort of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers style. It was actually meant to be a little bit more Americana, a bit more rootsy, that sort of thing, a bit more sort of what we call heartland rock, that sort of Springsteen, Tom Petty style. And actually, I think lockdown came at a bit of a right. It was a bit of a blessing in disguise. Obviously, it wasn't. It was a horrendous time, but for that, it was great because it allowed him to kind of go away and work and really hone what he wanted to do. And then it was, as I said, it was an idea floating around before lockdown, and then it was actually when we could get together during that rule of 6 period where it came to that.
What comes across when, and I've seen you a few times, both in kind of small venues and in festivals we touched upon earlier. What comes across is that you are enjoying it. I think you said earlier, Ash, it comes across as you're enjoying it. There's no one kind of hiding in the shadows. You just living the dream, really, aren't you? You just get up there doing what you want to do. As you were saying, Liam, just getting that kind of feeling of playing again. And if you're up in front of people, it must be great. You must pinch yourself sometimes to say, look, wow, we've come from Henry's back garden, as it were, to playing in front of thousands of people, and people want to come and beat you and shake your hands and buy your t-shirts. I mean, it is. It must be. Must have kind of pinch yourself and wonder whether you're dreaming at times, I guess.
It is emotional sometimes when you've put so much into something and so many people love it, and you're like, I'm just playing my songs. I'm not even doing covers down the pub. People love this. And just to have the support of, all those people, just it is unbelievable. Sometimes we can be, when we do the breakdowns and we're, the crowd singing back and Hen's doing the whole Freddie Mercury thing, and the crowd singing, it's hard sometimes. You're holding back tears because you're like, this is just incredible. And there is absolutely no feeling in the world that tops it.
Yeah, completely. And that's why we do the bit at the start of Testify, where we get the crowd to sing it back, and you'll always see me walking around with a phone in my hand filming it, because that's the things that in 50 years we want to look back on. I mean, I don't know if we still have phones in 50 years. I don't know what we'll be doing. I'll probably just be able to get a memory out of my head and just watch it. But, we want to savor those moments. And I vividly remember after Steelhouse, it was Steelhouse, we got back to the dressing room, and me and Robbie were watching that video that I took on my phone, and we both started kind of getting a bit emotional. And like you said, it was a pinch me moment. It was really, really one of those moments where you go, wow, that really was special. That really, really was special.
So you mentioned earlier about new music, and I believe you got a new album that's essentially finished, ready to go. Tell us about that, guys.
Yeah, new album is all recorded, all mixed, done, ready to go. We've got some really, really exciting plans coming up over the next few months, which are top secret. But yeah, there is new music on the horizon at some point. We're really, really excited. We love these songs. It's album one enhanced, both in terms of the songwriting, the production, everything. We've just taken it up a gear. And we were really lucky with the crowdfunding process that we had before that allowed us to do that, which was great. So we're super grateful to our fans for that. We're really excited to put this music out, and it will be worth the wait. It feels like we've been saying the same thing for a while. It's coming, but it is, and it will be worth the wait.
So have you got a date for the album, Ash?
Not as yet. It's still to be confirmed, but it will be at some point in the new year. That's what we can say. All plans regarding release date are still to be confirmed, but it's coming soon.
So can you say whether you're touring that next year?
We will be touring next year. We've got a few shows confirmed already. I don't think they've been announced just yet, but a few festivals already sorted for next year, which is great. and we're hoping to be out on the road quite a bit, which will be amazing.
Excellent. We look forward to it. You mentioned touring. You're on tour at the moment, of course. Of club gigs, they used to call them back in the day. How's that going?
It's fun. It's I tell you what, it's a weird transition from festival season into doing smaller clubs and things, because you don't have the space and everything's a lot hotter, and you're like, God, this is it's the same amount of fun but on a tighter, more intimate scale. So it's great because everyone's up in your face. It's not like festivals where everyone's miles away and you've got all this space in the world and you've got to utilize the stage and run around and things. I mean, maybe not you, Ash, but you got to run around and things like that. But then you go to do these smaller spaces, and it's crazy because we're turning up in, we did Reading the other day, and we've never played in Reading before, but we've got, a full capacity, gig, and we're like, Christ, these people have turned up again, wearing the shirts, being so supportive and singing the songs back to us as we like to hear. And it's a bit of a strange transition, but it takes you back to what gigging is all about. It's these nitty gritty pubs and clubs and whatever it is.
Is that important to you as a band to go up the kind of the hard way, as it were, or have you got no choice? As you say, you've gone from big festivals fairly quickly in your career to now, as you were saying, Liam, the kind of more sort of nitty gritty, smaller, sweaty venues. Is that important to you to do that?
Yeah, massively. I think you have to do it. And we, as you said, we've been really, really fortunate with the festivals that we've been able to do both last year and this year. But we love those club gigs. It's not, for us, it's not a case of, we're going to go back to doing the little grimy venues and stuff like that. We love that. We love being up close and personal with the fans and playing those shows. It was really funny in Reading. We had a great show, but the dressing room upstairs, it was essentially another music venue. So it was absolutely enormous. So if all club gigs could be like that, that'd be fantastic. But it was great. We love doing those shows. We love seeing and meeting people. We just love playing, regardless of whether it's to 5,000 people at Stone Dead Festival or whether it's to 200 people at Face Bar in Reading. We love playing, and that's what we give 100% in every gig. And
it's really nice. There's a real, in terms of music at the moment, in the classic rock genre, where you've got the gig that you'll be playing at KK Steel Mill, where you've got the new wave of classic rock live, where there's yourself, Scarlet Rebels, lots of bands that Matt and I love to watch, etc. And I suppose it's really, really positive that we have another genre. It's like Nwabum. We're old enough to remember Nwabum in the early 80s. Well, Matt is, in terms of Diamond Head and Iron Maiden, and it's lovely that post-COVID you've got such a thriving young rock scene with lots of the bands we've just mentioned. The Treatment, who I love. And you're now putting on many festivals yourself, and that'll be a great show at KK's Steel Mill. So it's great.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like we really can't wait to be a part of that lineup, and we're honoured to have been kind of adopted into the new wave of classic rock family from day one. Really, our first show was at Leo's Red Lion, which is a great established venue on the sort of classic rock scene in the UK. And from day one, as I said, they've just taken us in and made us feel part of the family. And we've played some great shows with some fantastic bands. You mentioned Scarlet Rebels, Massive Wagons, people like that. We're really excited to play with the Treatment there as well. And yeah, it's really, really cool. It's really great community feel in that new wave of classic rock scene. And we like to feel that we bring something different to the table as well. It's not just the same thing. There's all the kind of different almost subgenres within that, and we feel like we're one of them.
You know what it is, Bright? It's people like me who've got kids the same age as these guys, and brought them up the right way, having gone through Nwabum, and now they're living the dream themselves 40 years later.
I have to ask, what is Nwabum?
So, Ash,
What can of worms have I just opened?
gather round, young Ash and young Liam. New wave of British heavy metal.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
It was a movement. It basically came out of a magazine called Sounds, which is a rock paper in the. Well, it finished about 92 or something, and it was basically it was someone very similar to what you were describing earlier. There was a heavy metal. Basically, it was a kind of a rock and metal version of punk in a way. People were bored with 27-minute guitar solos and 18-minute drum solos, with all due respect. And then out of that kind of punky thing was people saying, "Hey, then I can play guitar. I think I can play better than them. I'm a fan of Led Zepp, so I'm going to start my own band." Very similar to what's happening at the moment. Kind of and people have always started bands. It just seems to be at the moment there's a huge number of bands coming through, as you say. We talked earlier about Thieves of Liberty, and then you got, as you say, the Those Damn Crows and Scarlet Rebels and so on. There's loads. It's great. And as I was there back in 1979, 80. I was very young. I was not a baby, of course, toddler. But it was very similar vibe. It's great. But yeah, new wave of British heavy metal, Ash. There you go.
Cool. Thanks for that.
I think it's important to have these groups, though, because, I mean, going back to how we've gotten to where we are is because of these groups like New Wave of Classic Rock, people taking you in. There's such die-hard fans, they're so supportive in, they'll buy anything that you put on the merch table because they want to support you. And I mean, and it helps when your music's pretty good, but, it's amazing. And these fans, I think all these bands that like you just mentioned, they owe something to these groups, and New Wave of Classic Rock especially, because of how good the fans are, and it's what is keeping the music alive.
I completely agree, and I think the word that you used earlier around community is an important one, because you could pick up amongst your peers a nice package deal. You could go out with Massive Wagons, the Dust Coda, yourself, and go out. You could put like an evening on. If you go back 10 years ago, the only way that it was viable for Whitesnake and Journey to come over to the UK and do a UK European tour is to go out in a package, chuck Thunder in the mix, and then that entices a lot of people to come in. Your peer group at the moment, you could pick, Scarlet Rebels, Treatment, yourselves, Those Damn Crows. You could all put nice packages together, and if it works with your cycle of album promotion tour and how you're working things, it becomes like a community where you're going, right, we can go out and we can actually, you've got the audience there that will come and see you, and I think rock audiences at the moment are taking more of a chance. You look at Stone Dead and Steelhouse, a lot of the bands that I enjoy listening to are really down early in the bill, and you're going, oh, that's interesting. Still enjoy Saxon and Europe, who are the headliners, but bills are becoming interesting, and you'll have noticed yourself, you're not playing to 2 or 3 people early in the afternoon. You're getting good crowds that are interested.
Yeah,
I think one of the massive things that I noticed the other day is I saw a post on the Stone Dead Facebook page, and obviously this year was their 5th anniversary, which is mad, by the way. Like in 5 years they've come so far.
Yeah,
that kind of goes on to my point. They shared pictures of the kind of opening band from the first year they did it to this year, which I think was Collateral this year.
Yeah.
And those guys are great. We've played with them a couple of times. They're really, really sound guys, and great for them to do that gig. But I just looked at the pictures, and you look at the first year compared to the 5th year, and that there shows you how strong and alive the new wave of classic rock community is, because it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The stages get bigger, the crowds get bigger, it's crazy. The production size gets bigger. It's amazing to see.
Yeah.
And I think people realise that you mentioned earlier about putting stuff on the merch table and people buying it. I think there's a realisation now that, we're rock fans, but we also know that you're not going to make money out of Spotify or whatever it is, Amazon streaming or anything like that, the way you and it's well known that the way you make money is to sell your own merch, whether it's your own albums, and tour. So people come and see you and they buy the stuff because they want you to be there next year and the year after and so on. As you said, Liam, it helps if you've got good songs. Ultimately, it's all about the songs. But if you kind of package it nicely, you've got good merch, you're a good band, you come across well as well. I mean, you guys are very good at the kind of social media, very good at the interaction with people. You know, it's a perfect formula in a way. And you know, I don't think you could go far wrong with that sort of approach.
No, and I think what also helps is that you've got this sort of resurgence in things like vinyl and collectibles, and you know, suddenly people want to buy stuff and carry it around at gigs, and they go, "Look what I've picked up! This is amazing!" You know, that's the feeling that you get. I never used to buy merch when I went to gigs, but now, you know, I'll always try and get a T-shirt. Like, I think one of the last ones I went to, you know, I saw Marcus King up in London. I was like, never seen Marcus King before. Love all his stuff. I was like, I'm not walking away without a T-shirt, at least, you know. Yeah. And I think a lot of people get that feeling now. And like I say, with things like vinyl, you know, they are a collectible. And I think another thing with the community is that I think they can recognise that some of these bands are going to be going somewhere, and they like to know that I was one of the first, you know, to have one of them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we get the commented a lot being like, oh, I'm going to hold on to this because I want to be, you know, say I've got a first pressing of, you know, the Karma Effect album or whatever it is. And it's a good feeling. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of that. People do want to be on the first rung because, you know, back in the day, you didn't meet people at gigs. You didn't meet Iron Maiden. You might have met Iron Maiden in the bar kind of early on, but, you know, you didn't meet Whitesnake or Deep Purple, that sort of thing. And then people, yeah, they want to be on the first rung. You know, want to be like, yeah, I discovered these bands. They're my band, and that's where you get. I think it's almost like an obsession. I know people that are obsessed with the Karma Effect. Which will remain nameless.
'Cause I'm all caught up again. I doubt she's coming back.
You've got England and Wales sewn up. You've done festivals this summer. What's next for you in terms of your campaign in the UK and beyond?
We're just touring as much as possible now until the end of the year. We've got our tour dates lined up. As you mentioned, we're in England and Wales. We haven't think we've got any shows booked in Scotland or Ireland yet. But
Brian's inviting you to Edinburgh.
Come up to Bannerman's in Edinburgh. It's a fabulous rock venue.
We want
it.
it.
We'll be there. We'll be there. We'll get onto our people and sort it out. But yeah, just touring as much as possible, kind of spreading the word about the first album and the new album, and just trying to keep capitalizing on the amazing festival season that we've had. You know, the response from the festivals has been amazing, so that's why we kind of booked this tour to the end of the year so we could capitalize on that, and it's been great. But yeah, just playing as much as possible. I mean, there are a couple of very, very early ideas of new songs floating around. I mean, very early. So, you know, I mean, Henry's great. He's always writing new stuff. So there's always ideas floating around. But yeah, that keeps us fresh, you know.
And do you know what? It's something that you've said in previous interviews, Ash. It's all about momentum. And I think when you look at the rise in the last 2 years of you as a band, you're kind of on a Led Zeppelin cycle. You know, when you think about Led Zeppelin 1969, you know, 2 albums in 1 year, and so many other bands like to get into production and work on one song for 6 months or whatever. It is nice. It's quite refreshing that a band like yourself comes out with their debut album, tours it, gets on festivals, following it up with product as well too, and touring it as well. It's great. So I'm not surprised you've said, well, we've got some ideas for our third album, because that's kind of what you want bands to be doing, you know?
Yeah, and that's, you know, when we first started, our original plan wasn't to put an album out. We wanted to put out like a sort of 5-song EP. And our manager, Peter, basically went, don't do that. Just write 3 more songs, put an album out. Even if it takes you like a couple more months, just put an album out, because if you want to get these festivals and these gigs that you've mentioned, that's what you need to do. We need to have a proper sort of body of work to submit to these places, and that's what we did. And we didn't rush the first album. We love that first album more than anything. It's such a sentimental piece of music for us, but that's kind of why we're carrying on with that momentum, as you mentioned, because we've seen how successful the first album was, and we want to build on that. We want to just keep going. And that's very kind that you compared us to the sort of Led Zeppelin cycle. And I think that's something that you, as you said, you don't really see much anymore, because I think bands often get stuck in this loop of write an album for a year, put it out, kind of, it's like every 2-3 years you'll put an album out. And
I think that's the thing with us.
What's stopping you from putting more out?
Yeah. I mean, the thing with us is, from a work, like how we work, it's, we've been playing those songs probably a year before you've heard them.
Yeah.
So for us, we're like, right, we're over the songs. Let's get some more songs out. So by the time the first album came out, everyone was like, oh, right, new music. For us, we've been playing that for ages. So we're already writing the next one. So it's kind of, the audience is on the back foot compared to us, because we're like, right, we've done these songs, we've smashed this. Let's just let's keep writing bangers and just see where we go. And I think that's how we are always kind of ahead of the curve a little bit.
I think momentum's a massive thing as well in terms of how Henry writes songs. He is one of those people where if he's not inspired to write music, then nothing will really happen. And you almost have to capitalize, or he certainly does capitalize on when he is feeling inspired. So at the moment, the last couple of weeks, he's been feeling really inspired, and he's messaging me every day going, what do you think of this riff? What do you think of this? I've got this idea for a chorus. And I just know that he's in that headspace of writing music, and it's great. So it's momentum in terms of the whole band and the general consensus of what we're doing with putting music out, and momentum with the fans, but also capitalizing on that momentum of being able to write great music.
Matt knows me very well. I am the biggest fan of projects. Every time Frontiers seems to put out a project of George Lynch on guitar, or you'll get all of the classic rock American AOR guys, and they'll all end up being in different bands. The iconic, which Nathan James from
Inglorious.
Yeah, Inglorious, a great singer with all the old guys from Whitesnake, great product, but they'll never tour it. And I think there's been so many supergroups over the last 10 years, Black Country Communion, who I love, Joe Bonamassa, Glenn Hughes, and they're not able to back it up either economically or just the sales of the albums. So it's actually nice in some ways with where we are with what you're doing, is you can play live, you really want to play live, and you're out supporting your product, and you're actively, as Matt says, doing it the hard way, playing in clubs, getting on festivals. And that's what we want as consumers. It's like, I actually really like this band, and I get a chance to go and see them as well too, which is fab.
Well, playing live, that's the bread and butter. That's what we love. And for me personally, I don't know about you, Ash. I mean, I hate being in the studio. I hate sitting down, having red light fever, thinking I've got to record this right, and I hate that pressure. I'm much more comfortable playing in front of people and, being sweaty as hell and just playing a loud show. And I think we're all kind of in that position. And that's another reason why we do it. We do the gigs. We don't do the albums. We play the music for you guys and everyone else. And it's good to have music out, obviously. And I think it's important that people can buy it and keep it forever. But for me personally, I think it's the live shows. That's where everything comes alive, doesn't it? And
you made a really good point there, Liam. It's a live show. It's not us getting on stage playing the songs exactly how you hear them on the record. We alter things, we change things, we kind of add intros, outros, extra guitar solos, sing along sections, and that for us is what we love doing. It's taking what we've already got as a sort of body of work from the studio and thinking, how can we make this translate to a live setting? So we're not just coming out on stage going, "Hi, we're the Karma Effect, this is Mercy," and playing it note for note perfect, which is fine, but it's a show, Henry's a great frontman, so why would you want him to just not be a frontman?
I think that comes with, our preparation is when we're in a rehearsal room and when we've got some gigs coming up, we go in the rehearsal room to write songs, but then we might go, right, we've got a couple of big gigs coming up, we should rehearse. But it's not a matter of we'll go out, as Ash says, and we'll play you some songs. We want to go out and go give the people what they paid for. They want a show. Let's give these people a show. So in the rehearsal room, we're not just standing around playing the songs. Ash and I might be writing a bass and drum beat that we can do, that Hen can do some audience, crowd participation stuff over, or, what song's coming up next? Can we do some bits while Hen's, speaking to the crowd, or, Seb's doing some funky stuff on the keys? Is there, how can we fill the space and keep the show alive for as long as we're playing for, so that people are constantly engaged? They're not stopping going, "Oh, that was one song down, let's hear another one." It's just one wall of greatness is what we want to do. We just want to keep it going, and we're having such a good time doing it as well. And especially with the crowd participation stuff, it's that's where I'm like, wow, these people are amazing. You're with the band, you're with us, you're enjoying it as much as I am, and that's what I love to see when I'm up there.
Yeah, and I think
that's amazing.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have. Incredible.
Yeah, it's one of, and the show is constantly evolving as well. So bits that you hear, kind of that intro section for the River that we do, where Henry does the sort of crowd participation, call and response thing. We never did that to start with. It was just a bit of a jam into the song, and I think he just did it one gig. He turned around to me and went, "Just keep it going, keep it going. I'm fit. We just vibe it, and you see what feels good in the moment. You can never translate exactly in a rehearsal room how it's going to feel on the night of a show. So it is that constant evolution.
With that song as well, one of my favourite things is the fact that after we've done the solo and everything, and Hen comes back in with there was a brief stop, but then I think Hen, I don't know, mucked up what he was doing, but just didn't play anything, and the crowd's going, going wild, and we're like, we should keep doing this. We should keep this stop here and do it, and let the crowd go crazy, and then come back into it. There's things like that. It's just, it's fun.
But that it probably means as well too, you can change things up, and as if you're playing a gig and you're vibing off the audience and you're going, right, okay, these guys are up for it. Let's change things up. We'll change the set and bring things about. And how many, I'm a big fan of Setlist FM, so I can, if I'm going to see a big band, I'll go, right, all right, well, they finish all my favourite songs by song 13. I'll jump in the car and I'll be home by 10 o'clock. I can imagine with the likes of yourselves, if you're feeling a particular song, or if Hen's voice is going, oh, I'm really feeling it now, let's stick such and such a song in, or just change things around. You're organic. You're a band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a prime example of that is when we did Stone Dead a couple of weeks ago. We were obviously rushed off stage due to the storm. So we think we got halfway through our fourth or fifth song. And, obviously off stage we're going, are we going back on? Aren't we? Blah, blah, blah. The guys were fantastic. Hats off to the Stone Dead crew for allowing us to come back on and do that. That was really, really amazing. And we went back on and we had, I think we started with Better Days, which is a sort of old, new song. And then it was going to be Stand, Steal Your Heart, and Testify to finish. And basically, we finished the first song, and everyone was kind of vibing it. And we went, we've got to switch it up. We've got to keep the momentum going. So we did Steal Your Heart instead, and we just shifted it around. I think, without blowing our own trumpet, we are very good at feeling that and kind of eyeing up what the audience wants, basically.
Yeah.
That's good. It's excellent. You don't, as Brian was saying, you don't necessarily want bands that are sticking to the same set list night in, night out, and just Pearl Jam are a great example, aren't they? They mix things up and do different set lists and jam stuff and all sorts going on. I think, as you say, keeps it fresh, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think one thing about us being a completely live band is, we don't run clips, we don't run backing tracks, and that gives us the freedom to do that. It gives us the freedom to alter the set list and elongate certain sections if we need to. If Henry's just sung a harsh chorus and he needs a bit of a breather, we can elongate a section by about 16 more bars if we need to. If he needs a drink, we're not restricted to that in that sense. So it's quite nice to be able to do that.
Stan's a good song for that because it's a slower song. It's a bit of a softer song, and we have an intro for that. We just, we'll play the intro for that. We can keep that going for as long as we need. I think that's a good one for us because that's a slow one of our set that we all suddenly go, right, can we just do this for a couple more minutes so we can just catch a breath?
Yeah. Just keep playing keys, Seb. Just keep going, Seb.
Just keep going. And then, the key solo, Seb might be just on one that day and we're like, let's just... Yeah, go ahead, mate. Just keep going, and the crowd loves it. And then, the great thing is that we've been playing together so long, whether it's in this band or other bands, that, especially Ash and I, we literally we know what each other are doing. We know when we're coming in. We know we get that feeling about each other. I know when Ash is going to do a fill. Like, I know, I can just feel it. I can feel when a stop's coming. I can feel when we're about to do a build up into something, even if it's all new, it's the experience of playing together.
A little bird once told me the truth is always hard to confess.
So with the rhythm section, and you're the rhythm section, who do you see as out there at the moment as rhythm sections that you would go, that's what we want to be like, and who out there at the moment impresses you that's playing live as a rhythm section?
I mean, for me, rhythm sections are the sort of heartbeat, the engine of a band. I mean, me and Liam have got this sort of running joke where we absolutely love people like John Mayer and people like that. But the John Mayer trio, where you got Steve Jordan and Pino Palladino as the rhythm section. I mean that is just filthy, really, isn't it?
Top that for me, I think.
Yeah. And what they might be what they're playing might not be technically that difficult, or I don't really know, but it's just that you can almost feel the eye contact through the record.
Yeah.
You can feel the fact that they're just vibing it, the two of them. He's standing there just, with his sunglasses on as he does. Steve Jordan's just vibing it, and they'd love it. And then you've also got, as I mentioned earlier, you've got the likes of Chad Smith and Flea and people like that. Go on, Liam.
I say I completely agree. I mean, it's just... I'm now just only thinking about Pino Palladino because
So who would be your who would you like to tour with if you could open for anyone? You mentioned a few: John Mayer, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I mean, if it's gonna be any band, I think we'd all say it's gonna be Aerosmith.
I mean, there is literally a tour going on in America right now with Aerosmith and the Black Crowes. So if we could jump on that and do 15 minutes to start with, that'd be wicked.
Yeah.
You'd take that, would you? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Any day of the week.
But I mean, you could say it. I mean, anyone really. It's great. We just love playing, and I know that's a bit of a sort of cop out answer, but it doesn't matter if it's Aerosmith or whoever.
To be fair, I would have loved to trade places with the Dust Coder and played with GNR.
That would have been cool.
I would love that one.
Yeah, we love the likes of Dirty Honey as well. So if Dirty Honey were to ever come over here, and we would love to play with them, or us go over there and play with those guys, they're great. And there's another band, sort of youngish band called The Struts, who are pretty cool. We like them. There's another band just coming up in America called The Bites, who are really wicked. Got that sort of glam vibe. They're really, really cool. Yeah, Skindred have just announced a show at Wembley Arena, so that'd be nice.
We'll see what we can do. We'll put it out there. We'll have a word with Benji and see what he says. Yeah, they were amazing at Made of Stone, by the way. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, we didn't get down to that one, unfortunately. We couldn't get to that one, but we heard great things.
Yeah, incredible.
Heard it was another wet one.
Had a bit of rain. It was one of those strange weekends where 1 minute it's sun cream, next minute it's put the umbrella up, sort of thing. But nowhere near as horrendous as the weather at Steelhouse. I mean, that's just amazing, horrible, never to be repeated, fortunately. So you talked about touring with the dream of touring with Aerosmith, Dirty Honey, or whatever it might be. Where do you want to take this? I mean, you mentioned America, Ash. I mean, where do you see America as an opportunity for you guys?
Absolutely. I think America is a place for us that we would really love to go to and take our sound, because I think we've got a very American sort of sound. It is that bluesy rock, vintage classic rock sound that would do really well out there, I think. And Robbie, who's visited America quite a lot, has said on a number of occasions that we need to get out there because people love it and people pay attention to that. I mean, you've only got to look at the likes of Dirty Honey, who are, flying the flag for the new wave of classic rock over in America. Yep. They are touring constantly, playing amazing shows, opening for Kiss, Guns N' Roses, whoever it may be. But yeah, America would be great. Europe would be great, sort of mainland Europe. We'd love to get over to the likes of sort of Germany, Spain, France, that sort of area, and even up into sort of Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, those sort of places. Anywhere really. Anywhere that'll have us.
It's great because we've shipped, vinyls and CDs and T-shirts out to all of these places, so we know the people are there. It's just getting the opportunity to get there and play for them, which is great.
So, I mean, it's a financial question, of course, isn't there? Ultimately, at the base of all this, I remember talking to the guys from Scarlet Rebels, and they were saying that the dream. It's all about kind of breaking even at this stage, covering your costs, and then kind of building from there. Because as you say, going off to America is it's a great idea, but there's a huge amount of cost goes into doing a half-hour slot in 20 different cities around various states.
Yeah, it's all good until you've got no clothes or guitars left because you sold them all to get around. But
exactly.
Yeah, I think that is the key point. Is it's got to be viable. I mean, we've been offered some opportunities in Europe, but for us, we've still got a fan base to grow over here. For us, it's not all about saying, look what we've done. It's all about, look where we are. Come see us play. That's what we're about at the moment. This is going back to why we play all the clubs and things, and it's because we have to. It's where the people are. It's how you grow fans. It's all well and good, going out and playing these huge festivals, and it's great because you're hitting a wide audience of people that hopefully are going to come away and go, oh, those guys are great. But there's plenty of pockets out there. Reading the other day, a prime example. We went down a Storm, and like I say, we never played there before, and we're hoping that's going to be the same throughout the tour. And that's what you've got to do as a band to grow organically and get that fan base. And then when you've got that support, maybe you can then start thinking about, right, well, let's go Spain, let's go Germany, let's branch out a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think for us, one thing that we've always done from the get-go is take each day as it comes, take everything as it comes. We never really look too far ahead. Maybe we should be looking a bit further ahead, but we've got plans in the pipeline. But in terms of live shows, we're happy with what we're doing and we take it as it comes. That's why, in terms of writing new music, it's always just there because it feels natural. So it comes with the territory, or it kind of comes as it comes, as such.
So where can people see you on tour, Ash? in the next few weeks?
So we are going to be playing on the 16th of September. We are going to be in Hull. The night after, we're going to be in Stoke. We've got shows at the end of September at the Brickmakers in Norwich, which is a great venue. We played there last year with Massive, who are great guys. New Wave of Classic Rock Fest, as you mentioned earlier, the night after, 23rd of September. We've got a show in Wolverhampton in October, and then all throughout November, we're playing in Great Yarmouth. We've got an amazing show linked to the Steelhouse, sort of what they call the Steelhouse Away Day, with Kira Mack, Troy Redfern, and Dan Byrne, which will be amazing. That's on the 10th of November at the Tramshed in Cardiff, which we're buzzing for. And then we're also doing like a TMR fest. So our management group are kind of putting on a night in Bradford on the 11th of November for all their artists, which is great. 24th of November, we are at the Black Prince in Northampton. And then our last show of the year is the 25th of November at the Sound House in Leicester.
Wow.
Excellent.
It's quite a UK tour.
Yeah, it's great. You know, it's quite spread out. It's quite spread out because, you know, just due to other commitments and everything like that, and also because we want to make the most of it, and we are aware that if we were to play in Stoke on a Tuesday night, we might not draw the same crowd as we would on a Saturday. So you have to think logically about these things at the stage we're at. But we're just excited to get out playing as much as possible.
When you guys are on tour, do you have any rules so that if you're if somebody's driving, they're the one that owns the Spotify playlist? You know, what do you have to deal with as a band? What are your rules when you're in the tour bus?
I don't know. It's a bit of a free for all with us, I think. I don't know. Ash, have we got any rules?
I don't think there's any rules as such. I mean, there are some sort of stipulations, and there are some things that are sort of frowned upon, as you know. We all try and sort of maintain a healthy kind of relatively healthy lifestyle when you're on the road. There's only so much you can do, but
only so much McDonald's you can eat at 2 a.m.
Yeah, and. Yeah, I mean, whoever is driving is usually in charge of the music or the radio, and that's fine. But the good thing is we've all got a very similar taste in music, which is great. And Robbie and Seb, when they're up front, it's just country music, though. That's the thing. Yeah. They just love country music. So we'll be driving back at like 3 o'clock in the morning from somewhere, and it'll just be country music for like 4 hours. And there's only so much you can say. I love country music, but yeah, it is one of them. Don't think there's any real rules. I think one thing that we are quite firm on, it's not really a funny rule, it's actually more kind of a general thing, as just to kind of keep the peace, is just respect each other's space, really. We all love a laugh. We are all 5 best mates, and we have a proper laugh when we're on the road. But there are times when you just want to unwind, and you want to just chill, and you want to put a podcast on. For those about to pod, we all listen to that. And
you better from now on.
And I think it's just respecting that, and not drawing or shaving people's eyebrows off if they're asleep and stuff like that. We're not about that. We're there to do our job and
save that for the stag weekend, Ash. Save that for the stag weekends.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we missed that. Henry got married earlier this year. We should have done that.
So Liam and Ash from the Karma Effect, we thank you very much for joining us. We've had a great time on For Those About to Pod. We salute you, the interview show. We wish you well on the tour. We wish you well with the new album. We're looking forward to hearing it in the new year. And we wish you well with everything in the future. You've got hopefully a fantastic future ahead of you, and all the best. And again, thanks again for joining me and Brian on For Those About to Pod. We salute you.
Thanks for having us, guys. Thanks.
Cheers.
Those About to Pod, We Salute You is a Maylie Rogers production.